Yes, right, yeah. So we have a habit gathering together and watching fireworks before New Year. And in the same place, but 4 years later, you can see the way to watch the firework is really different. People started using smartphone and viewing the thing through the lens of the smartphone. So this, indicated the thing that things changed quite quickly. In 2012, when Nelson conducted a survey on smartphone, the penetration rate for smartphone user at that time only 5%. But then in 2015, the penetration rate increasingly by 70% in the urban and 40% in the rural. And recently we conducted the same survey, and the rate is increasing by 76 in urban and 62 in the rural. So things change very quickly. And you all remember the case of Nokia, where the global giant, they didn't do anything wrongly, but then they lose the share. And this shows that the change is accelerating and happening in the new way and in the new areas. And the leader, as we are, we need to turn into the signal of change and have the ability to navigate organization via the change. And change is accelerating, and by asking the CEO recently in the regions, we got a lot of feedback from the leaders. The change could be into two groups, could be very slow and over the decade, such as population, such as midterm class, or political trade environment. So those should be, very slow in processing, but some change are very quickly, such as like consumer needs, consumer preference, or the entrance of the new competitors, or innovation, etc. So the question is, are we really ready for the change yet? So here's the answer from CEO in Asia regions. The question of, have you aware of the changes? 76% of the businessmen aware of the changes. But then the question is, can you recognize the change or any signal for the change? Or are you prepared for the future? You can see that less of the 50% of the businessmen confident to answer yes. The same question has been asked last time in Ho Chi Minh City for Vietnam CEO. Almost 100% aware of the changes, but none of them raise their hand and saying that I'm ready for the change, or I have any system in place to prepare to recognize the change and prepare for action moving forward. So the change really important and help us to grow. Especially when we look at the outlook, GDP growth at international level. Maybe number is quite small, but you can see that the first column shows the global growth in the world, in the advanced economy, and in the emerging economy. So in overall, the GDP growth is about 2%. It's more in emerging countries like China, India, Vietnam, for example. However, in the next decade, we don't expect the growth as now. For that, we need all the manufacturers, provider, and things. We need to think of how to bring more value to consumer, and maybe we try to get the consumer aware of what need to be considered rather than just the cost. Yes. And I will show you FMCG consumption in Vietnam. So here is the change. The change moving annual total last year and moving total this year. So the number from 4% to 6.5%. So in the long run, we can see, the growth is quite good growth. And here, quarter by quarter, struggling. However, we can see in the long run, still a lot of potential market in Vietnam, especially for fast-moving consumer goods. And Vietnam is one of the radar for investment intention. So here, the top ranking, you can see the top ranking country for retail development index in Vietnam in 11 positions. And Vietnam is one of the 3 countries that, like a 3 top priority market that other country want to expand to: Vietnam, China, and Indonesia. By look at the consumer, we can see, the consumer confidence index. Vietnam here, the change quarter by quarter. But in overall, Vietnam is one of the top 5 countries with the highest consumer confidence index. Just show us that, once the consumer believe in the future, they will be confident in spending. Yeah. However, we can see that Vietnam market is still facing many pressures. So first of all, by using smartphone and knowing things not just in Vietnam, but also in the globe. And consumer now is more sophisticated. They have a high income, but they are high demanding and more information, more knowledgeable. For that require product innovation. And to be frank, in Vietnam still a lack of innovation, not as the Thai retail markets. The question is sustainable. A lot of startup company, but the failure we can see reported a lot. E-commerce, so many channels now. E-commerce, traditional, modern trade, retailer bonding, or many channels, and everything now should be very speed up. The question of real time really important for any manufacturer now. Consumer want to get the feedback, and they want us to action with the feedback. For that, to satisfy consumer is very important. And the use of big data is also repeated among the businessmen now. So here are 5 trends. We believe that will shape the future, including, firstly, we need to look at the demography. So any difference between Vietnam demography to other countries in the Asia. The second element could be the development of infrastructure, including physical and digital. That will be the very fundamental thing for business to develop. The third, we would review the market, whether it's fragmented or concentrated, and where we need to invest in. Important is to understand the consumer. The differences between choosy consumer versus fast-moving shopper. So what are the products that we could consider based on the consumer? And the last but not least, the power of the retailers. We provide product to consumer, but also we cannot ignore the role of the retailers. So there are 5 trends shaping the future, and I want to share with you in more detail. So firstly, about the changing demography. So when talking about the Vietnam population, what can be top of mind that you can speak out? Vietnam population, Vietnam demography.
32.
Very. The total population, right? Yes. Very young. Yeah. Thank you. Anything else about Vietnam demography?
Boy oriented.
Boy oriented. Oh, that means everyone prefer having boy. Okay, cool. Thank you. Here, some information for you. Yes, very young, and you can see the millennials, the one who was born from 1981 to 1995. We call millennials, and now they are 30% of the population. And those people as predicted to be very, very technology heavy user, very proactive, and maybe the way they behave, lifestyle, and using product will be different. Another thing I want to mention here about the middle class. At the moment, about 15 million middle class in Vietnam. However, by 2020, the number could be double. So with the higher income, we would see more expense from this population. The third things I want to share with you here about the dynamic but optimistic end of population. The one with the age from 50 to 69. So we call end of population. Those was born and living in this environment, and that makes them very dynamic and optimistic. So those are three things about demographics that we need to focus on. More detail. This data from General Statistics Office. So here's a population in Vietnam, split by age. You can see from 15 to 34 millennium here. At the moment, there are 30% of those, and in some years, population will be increased, and the number of those people here, they moving to the millennium, and also another we call ender optimistic segments. So any differences between those two, we need to understand. They are same or different. That lead to the thing, the content approach, the functional benefits, or other things when we provide the product to them. We can see some similarity, like we. Yes, they think about we community, more connected. And the recent failure in US, in furnishing product, they provide new product for ender, and they create the channel. They promote special campaign, and everything is very nicely. However, the traffic is low and the sale is terrible. And when we when we met with the ender, and we understand, the insight from them, that they want something new. They want something, future. They don't want to remember the bad experience in the past. And they want to be connected, not isolated. So this example shows us that we need to understand the consumer, the target segment that we want to provide the product to. The second element is something about physical and digital infrastructure development.
Excuse me.
Yes?
I just don't understand the last slide. How do you mean by the same and difference between elderly and the millennials? It doesn't make any sense to me. Sorry.
Yes. So that means because we say that we need to focus on those two segments. One is millennials, and the second is the ender. So any differences, any same things or differences between those? Initially, we think that the ender could be much different with the millennials.
Could you give some examples? For example, like, what's the difference, or what's the, what's
Yes,
the
the example I have given is in US for one furnishing product. I don't remember the brand, but they provide for endo segment. They produce the product, and for the ease of use for this segment, even they provide the campaign and the channel, special channel for those. However, when enter into the outlets, and they feel that they are not happy with that, because they want to be connected. They don't want to be isolated, like the discriminal, something like that. And anything related to the past, very poor time, very hard time, they don't want that. They don't want those remind them in the past. So they want something, bright in the future. So this is an example of how important that we understand the segment. Initially, we think maybe, different between the ages, but in fact, we need to deep dive and understand the lifestyle, the attitude, and, the needs from each segment.
So you says like in the elder they connect together in those, and the younger to connect together in those, but they not connect together between the millennials and the elder, right?
Actually, those we can see some similarity of those. That they are they live as community, and they are using smartphone now. Not just millennial, but also the elder. They use smartphone, and they want to be connected. The elder now is different with elder some years ago. So this is what we want to share with you. Yeah. Okay. And in Vietnam now, we can see a lot of club for elder. So they do exercise in the morning, and they do the performance. And now even the elder, but they are more proactive nowadays. Yeah. The data also show us that there is some more products for the elder, because they are more in 10 years time. So could be anything product for elder, like milk for elder, for example, or like pamper, for example, for the elder. We think about something further for the elder, the product needed. Okay. So the second element I want to share with you about physical and digital infrastructure development. So the data here given by World Bank, Logistic Performance Index ranking here. In Vietnam now we are in the rank is 63, so very low. Or even in 2014, our rank is 48. So to be frank, infrastructure in Vietnam is still in difficulties and more investment. However, we can see next slide for the mobile internet usage penetration now in Vietnam. So the first slide about mobile and internet usage. Mobile usage here in Vietnam, among 100 people, there are 131 mobile. So even more mobile than population. And predicted that by end of this year, maybe half of the people will have a two mobile. 50% of the people will have a two mobile. And beside that, internet access. In Vietnam here, 48% of the people access into internet. It's quite almost the same in China. 48. Moreover, when they use a smartphone or they use internet, how many hours per week that people spend? The data show here in Vietnam, on average, one person spend 24.7 hours per week. Yes. And it ranked on the third, actually equally with Philippines. So only after Singapore. And more time with millennials, say 27 hours. And 2 years ago, with the same survey, we got the data for Vietnam is about 15 hours only. And now it changed into 24.7. So what really people use smartphone or access into is the internet for different purposes. For social gathering, yes.
Does Vietnamese use internet banking? Thank you.
Internet banking, yes. Internet banking now, the awareness is about 30%, but the usage of internet banking is quite low, less than 12%. Internet banking, and the main barriers of using internet banking are mostly related to safety. Because they're afraid of hacking, and they're afraid of losing personal information, and the provider as well, like not so many application or provider like the bank need to promote more, application should be easy to use, for example. So we have to test several people and a lot of barrier, and the bank need to do more with that. Yeah. Okay. So the question on fragmentation or concentration, urbanization. The question for all of us, yeah, in every country in Asia. And here's the data in Asia. Even we see the trend of urbanization. You can see the first higher density cities, the city here in 2015, and the number in 2025, and the percentage of change. So urbanization, we can see the change in different countries in Asia. However, the absolute number, the volume, we still see the rural. Even the increase, the change, not so many as urbanization, but the absolute number is still there, rural. And in Vietnam, more than 65 million people living in the rural. And in 2000, we have done one survey, rural Vietnam, and where we show a lot of opportunity to the community. And nowadays, a lot of fast-moving consumer goods, they started expanding to rural, and they got, the share increased significantly. Understand the urban, the rural, but we need to understand the region as well. So you can see three main parts in Vietnam: the north, the center, and the south. And the consumer behavior could be really different. You can look at into the Nelson website with one report we call the differences between Saigon and Hanoi consumer behavior. So you can see a lot of differences between those two big cities. Anything you know about those differences? Like Hanoi and Saigon? Not yet? Yeah? Okay. So here, some capture. Actually, we have put already on slide. But for consumer behavior, like in Hanoi, they are more collective mindset. Like whenever they decide, they want to listen to others, relatives, friends, college, and to get the feedback on the product they are going to purchase. If someone gives a bad feedback, bad experience, they may change their choice. But in Ho Chi Minh City, it's more individualistic. You can ask for the reference, but then they decide on their own. Yeah. In Hanoi, people think about live for tomorrow. They are good planning. They can consume something, but then saving more. In Ho Chi Minh City, may be different. Live for today. They can enjoy. Yes, they can, do entertainment. Anyone can do it, for example. When difficulties, when anything change in economy, then Saigon, they still keep the volume. I still go out, do entertainment, but I can slow down, go down to the brand, lower brand. But in Hanoi, they may go less, but they still keep the same brand. So some differences between regions, and I hope that with more detail in the slide, you can get more information. So for some fast-moving consumer good, they more enterprise they want to enter to Ho Chi Minh City because the willingness to try the new thing can be seen more in Ho Chi Minh City. Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. Why in Hanoi, they are willing to try the new thing, but they still can wait for others to try first, something like that. Yeah. But in Hanoi, when you have a consumer, they are satisfied with your product, they will stay with us. Loyalty can be seen more in Hanoi. Okay. So talking about the distribution. In Vietnam, still traditional. At the moment, we have 1.3 million traditional trade outlets for fast-moving consumer goods, according to Nielsen calculation recently. And that contribute for more than 85% of the total fast-moving consumer sales, and US 9.9 million at the moment. So you might be very surprised with this number, compared with other countries nearby where modern trade is more seen. But in Vietnam, in the next 10 or 15 years, we focus the trade not so much. It cannot, increase significantly in modern trade. However, so many stores, but only 30% store that can contribute about 80% turnover. So whenever you enter to Vietnam, you don't have enough resources to go to every single outlet, but you may prioritize and focus in those 30% of the store. Yeah. Because so many outlets, small, medium, or big. So in overall, we can see outlets in Vietnam with limited space. Here, the numbers that we compare with other countries. On average, it's about 15 square meters compared with other countries, more than 25 square meters in Philippines, for example. Due to the limited space, so category cannot display so many, around 7 to 15, right? And mostly we can see the food and beverage domination. So the trade marketing, or how to display, or the trade marketing or distribution strategy is also important when we enter to Vietnam market. Yeah. The fourth element will be the choosy consumer versus fast-moving shopper. So based on our survey globally, we can see that in Vietnam, spare cash saving is still the habit of Vietnamese user. And they are saving for what? Not just for commodity now, but also for other products. You can see the fast growth in non-fast moving consumer good product on the right hand side. Like they purchase smartphone, you can see a lot of people using smartphone. Automobile, a lot of a car imported from Thailand. Major applications or domestic tourism or even abroad tourism. a lot of tourists come to Thailand from Vietnam, right? And you have done quite well on that. We talk about from beginning that consumers are more sophisticated. So how was that? Firstly, the most concern about healthcare. Since 2013, when we ask about the most the concerns, and the health will be is being the top 3 concern among the consumer. They concern about the things, the product, yeah, anything related to the health. They're using in-store service. We can see the trend now for convenience store, going to convenience store, especially in Ho Chi Minh City, where they can, purchase and can use other services in the store. They are saving, they are considering things and, still purchase with value for money. They can care about the price very carefully, but then at the end, if we deliver, if we give them the benefits and the reason why they should purchase with that money, they still, pay money for it. Yeah. When we look at the way that shoppers go to purchase things in traditional outlets, here the journey. First 10 seconds will be the order. And the way they order is, they can stand by in front of the outlets. Because the outlet is very small. They can on a bike or they can stand before, in front of the outlets, order things. And it takes about 60 seconds for the owner to collect the thing for them. And during that time, they can, normally they look at the smartphone. So we use a camera and we have a capture on this. And the last 20 seconds will be the payment. So if we can utilize the time, waiting time, or we need to invest more in the board, like the trade, anything related to the marketing, very important. Autopilot and low involvement is a common practice. 97% shoppers stand outside the store, as I shared to you. Yes, the way they use motorbike and sit on it. And 98% shoppers ask store owner to get the products. So here's a figure. Yeah. Many retailers not meeting the shopper needs at the moment because they give the offers they like and value or communication in a relevant way. So many things we can do with the retailer. If the manufacturer can educate and promote the retailer, then more sales could be seen. The future of marketing could be moved from mass marketing to the individual focus. And nowadays, we hear more about the super consumer. So what is the definition of super consumer? So firstly, it should be the heavy user. The heavy user. And the second thing could be the heavily engaged. Like if they love your brand, they purchase quite often. If we can engage with them, then they could be the ambassador and introduce our product to others. The last element about power of the retailers. So as I share with you that the retailer really important, and 2 out of 3 shoppers will follow the retailer recommendation. However, the retailer at the moment, they not proactively introduce the promotion and product to the consumer yet. Only 3% retailer made a recommendation to the shopper. Yeah. And what are the retailer concerns? Concern about consumer uptake, competition from other retailer, and the stock quantity. So those are the concerns and things that they worry from retailers.
Sorry.
What they want?
What do you mean by consumer offtake?
Consumer offtake, that means the support from the consumer. Yeah, like if we have the product available in a shop, it's important. However, when they arrive to the shop, whether they pick up your brand or not, the offtake. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so here's a voice of the retailers that they still need the product quality because the retailer, they are very close to the consumer. They are nearby, they are neighbor. So they don't want, someone say something not good about the product that they are selling. So firstly, it could be the product. And then the promotion. In Vietnam nowadays, still really rely on promotion. 75% consumer purchase product still based on the promotion. So as a distributor or manufacturer, we need to think about the promotion, but not just very simple normal promotion. How can we bring the value to the consumer? Otherwise, we all devalue the market. Yeah. Stop return or delay payment or even PSM display in the shop. There are some support from manufacturer or distributors that retailer would expect from us. Yeah, and where the category in the retailer mind, really important. Recently, Nelson, we normally measure the brand health checking among the consumer. However, nowadays when we see the role of the retailer and the knowledge that they know about the brands, we think that the education to the retailer or measure the brand equity index towards the brands, but among the retailer really important because they if they know our products, the brand, they could put our brand like a must-have category or high profit or visible item, and that make us win at first. So something about the evaluations for trade, for traditional trade, not in Vietnam, but as the trend. We think that in Vietnam, this evaluation could be seen like an in-person connection or use application to measure or to control and to manage on the product and sales in the store. Yeah, so I will summarize with 3 words: innovate, transform, and disrupt. Innovate your product, transform the way to communicate, and disrupt, with showing the customer good experience. And all we need to do it today. Yeah. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions? Further questions? Yes.